Hola, hola. What's up? We're back. We're back. Diddy is in the news, man. In the news with regards to this attorney, Tony Buzzbee, representing more than 100 alleged victims. Holy crap. Holy moly. How many more people? Wow. So there's a press conference coming up, and there's actually something else happening too. I think we're going to do two streams because that sheriff that shot the judge has a hearing today. So I want to try to cover that as well if we can do that. And LAWSUT attorney Tony Buzzbee makes me think of Toy Story. Buzzbee. Incredible. The freak off parties. There's a press conference today in an hour. I want to see what this guy has to say. What's going to happen? What's going on? Hey, April, Tammy. Hey, everybody. What's up? Welcome, the Diddler. Do they have baby oil and commissary? And what I figured in the meantime while we wait is we could watch, well, we'll do this first, but then we'll watch a little bit of Nancy. Put the fish tank away. Porno allegedly showing Diddy with more famous A-list celeb being shopped around. What the heck? What the? So an illicit video was showing Sean Diddy Combs and an even more famous A-list celebrity is being shopped, or what does that mean, shopped around? Are we talking about shopping, like shopping at the store, or shopped around like who wants him? Oh, they're doing like an auction or something. Did they auction a celebrity off? What's up with that? One of the explicit videos supposedly shows Combs alongside with a more high-profile person who appears to be unaware they're being filmed. The lawyer Ariel Mitchell Kidd told News Nation without identifying the celeb. There already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood being shopped around. Okay, but one particular person contacted me to shop a particular video. I can tell the video was an adult video. This was in his Atlanta home, and it does seem like the person isn't looking into the video. To me, it doesn't seem like the person knows they're being videotaped. What the? What the? Who the hell is this? She reached out to me a few weeks ago. She called me and told me about her assault and her escape. She was at a friend's house who had industry ties and didn't decide to come home to the house. Her client later learned that Combs was allegedly planning on sex trafficking her that night. It led to her being served a drink. She started to feel woozy. Combs assaulted her and with an inanimate object, then directed another gentleman to assault her, essay her, while he watched and took care of himself. Wow, this is crazy. Mitchell Kidd's client was supposedly able to escape into the street, which was witnessed by a neighbor. Combs, 54, was indicted and all that stuff. Holy moly. His employees allegedly helped organize travel for participants who were put up in hotel rooms where the freak-offs were held. The damning federal charges came after a flurry of civil lawsuits. Okay. Mamma mia. Mamma mia. Nancy.
Breaking news tonight. Diddy hungry? Sean Combs apparently refusing jail food. Some say he's missing his private chef and convinced he will be poisoned. Because remember, it's all about him. Okay, it's not about his alleged sex trafficking victims. It's about him. He actually thinks someone might poison him behind bars. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us.
Diddy done it. Rap star and music mogul Sean Puffy Combs slammed with his 11th lawsuit. just weeks after his arrest on sex trafficking charges.
And I know he's in the MDC right now, but he better hide under his bed because Gloria Allred is up his tailpipe now. In the last hours, is there ever a moment that a lawyer who is used to talking for a living realizes I should just shut up? Apparently not in some cases. In the last hours, TMZ, who is creating the downfall of Diddy on Tubi.
Oh yeah, there's a whole documentary coming out with Diddy. Who's in this picture? Looks like Jay-Z. Looks like Kanye over there. Kim Kardashian, Beyonce. Oh Lord, hell no. Oh.
Our friend Harvey Levin, who created TMZ, sits down with Sean Combs's lawyer. I want you to hear what happened. Watch.
They called them freak-offs. But, you know, back when I was a kid in the late 70s, they were called threesomes.
If these are genuinely threesomes, how do you explain 1,000 bottles of baby oil?
I don't know where the number 1,000 came.
The U.S. attorney said it.
I can't imagine it's thousands. I mean...
It's thousands, baby. Thousands of baby oil.
You know, and I'm not really sure what the baby oil has to do with anything.
They're essentially saying it's a lubricant for an orgy.
I guess. I don't know what you need 1,000. One bottle of baby oil goes a long way. I don't know what you need 1,000 for. I mean...
Oh, shit. Well, how you know, man?
I don't know what you need 1,000. One bottle of baby oil goes a long way. I don't know what you need 1,000 for. I mean... He has a big house. He buys in bulk. You know, I think they have Costco's in every place where he has a home. I mean, have you sat in a parking lot of a Costco and see what people walk out of there with?
Not 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
I don't think it was 1,000. I think it was. Let's just say it's a lot. Okay.
Come on.
Every time I watch it. Guys, that's from our friends at TMZ. That's our friend Harvey Levin speaking to Combs's lawyer, Agnefello, from the downfall of Diddy, the indictment, now on Tubi. You know, from now on, he is stuck, Agnefello. His face is going to appear, and underneath it, it will say, 1 bottle of baby oil goes a long way. And you got Levin having to explain to Agnefello that baby oil is a lubricant for an orgy, but that's not what's happening here. It's not an orgy with willing participants. It is forced sex trafficking. And as much as I want to play that clip 5 million times and watch it over and over, joining me right now, Lynn Shaw, founder and director of Lynn's Warriors, that is devoted and committed to stopping sex trafficking. Now, the lawyer is not helping anything regarding Combs. And I got a lot of territory to cover tonight. But Lynn Shaw, can we bring it back home and stop laughing about the baby oil as a lubricant and 1,000 bottles? And I got to imagine Harvey Levin sitting outside of a Costco. That has never happened in life. But this is a very serious claim, and the feds are not playing. Let's bring it home, Lynn Shaw. We know Gloria Allred is now representing the latest alleged victim. She doesn't play. This is serious. When you hear what this victim says, your stomach is going to clench.
You know, Nancy, when I see that lawyer, I have to start here. I'm sorry. I know this is a family show, but I want to slap him across his face. This is no laughing matter. All of this deflection about the baby oil, the lubricant, and his smug attitude, that should all be put the efforts on the victims, the survivors of all of this that we have heard about for decades now. Where is that? His dismissive attitude, not even addressing any of these women. And I want everybody to remember, there are rumors, right, of minors, children, teens, and boys and young men. We're not even talking about them at all. So when I see a Gloria Allred, she means business. And let me tell you, I hope with her presence and everybody, you know, she's a well-known name, that more of these women will step forward. And particularly, I want them as teens, because we heard for decades, there were girls 15, 16, 17. That's what we heard about, and teenage boys. So I wish everybody would put the focus on, what about that? Forget the baby oil. I am tired of that one. Put it on what's, I don't care what he's eating in his prison cell.
I want to know about the baby
who
oil.
He's rooming with Sam Bankman-Fried. I don't care he's afraid of getting poisoned. Let us turn this around and let us go hardcore into what actually happened. What's on those tapes? Let's see those tapes. And everybody should start listening to Suge Knight. This is my opinion, and 50 Cent, because they are unraveling a lot of information that we at the Warriors believe to be true about the abuse of several women, girls, men, and boys. And that's what we need to focus on.
Guys, Lynn is correct. I want to talk about Thalia Graves. Joining me, investigative.
So Thalia Graves is one of the latest lawsuits. The last press conference that we watched, she was there speaking. That's what they're going to talk about. I'm really curious about this upcoming press conference, what this guy's going to have to say. How do you represent so many people? Oh my gosh. It's a lot.
A reporter with crimeonline.com, Sydney Sumner. Sydney, who is Thalia?
Nancy, Thalia Graves was 25 years old at the time of the alleged incident that she is suing Combs over. She was dating an employee at Bad Boy Records who worked directly under Combs. And her only real connection to Combs was her boyfriend's job, but she apparently was very involved in his employment, and Combs specifically asked to meet with her about her boyfriend's employment. She was very focused on making sure that he did well at this job and was able to climb up the ladder at Bad Boy Records. That's who Thalia Graves is.
She is also one of the latest alleged victims of Sean Combs. Now, keep in mind what Sydney Sumner just told you, that she was called to meet with Combs, according to her, about her boyfriend's job. Now, what do you think she would do to safeguard the boyfriend's job? Listen.
Ride or die.
The internal pain after being sexually assaulted has been incredibly deep and hard to put into words. It goes beyond just physical harm caused by and during the assault.
I've dealt with a lot of victims. She, Thalia, in my mind, is telling the truth. Joining me now, a veteran trial lawyer who has defended drug lords, you name it, Renee Rockwell. You can find her on Facebook, Renee.Rockwell. Renee, thank you for being with us.
Sharon, thank you for the membership.
You have dealt with many victims. You, on the defense side, defending their attackers, alleged attackers. Me, on the other side, representing the crime victim. It's a defense attorney's worst nightmare when the victim takes the stand and comes across as genuinely as Thalia Graves does.
Nancy, but she's involved in a lawsuit. And I've always felt like a lawsuit, when you're suing somebody, cheapens your position because now it's about the money. And secondly, do you think that Combs cares about all these lawsuits that are filed against him? He wants to get out of jail, and he should be out of jail.
What? Hold up. She said he wants to get out of jail and he should be out of jail? Oh, what? Oh, shit.
And secondly...
And by the way, he's appealing. I think he's appealing the judge denying him like a bond, like to be able to bail out.
Do you think that Combs cares about all these lawsuits that are filed against him? He wants to get out of jail, and he should be out of jail. He's not guilty yet, and he was going to turn himself in, and now he's sitting in a jail. Where's the presumption of innocence, Nancy?
Daddy, I like when you scrambling and scraping for shit. I like that.
Nancy,
got a question for you, Miss Rockwell. What should I do right now? Send you the keys to the Fulton County Jail where all your clients are awaiting trial? H-E-L-L-N-O. he should not be out of jail. Unlike your clients, he has the wherewithal to hop right over to Teterboro and leave the country. He doesn't need a passport to get on that plane. And I guarantee you that there are plenty of countries across this world, France for one, who's hiding out Roman Polanski and more, would be happy to have him spending his money there. So are you telling me that you believe every defendant charged in a federal lawsuit, a federal criminal charge, should get bond?
Nancy, he hired an attorney. He was planning on turning himself in, and they grabbed him ahead of time. Now, I'll tell clients,
who cares?
To beat them to the jail. When you turn in, that's the first thing you can tell the magistrate. He turned himself in. What they did was the SWAT team grabbed him before he could get there. I just have a problem with pre-trial detention when you're innocent until proven guilty.
Okay, you know what? I asked you one question. You gave me a different answer. You avoided it. That's okay. You're just arguing he got in jail too soon.
Nancy.
Because there is no way that two judges, Taranovsky and Carter, are going to turn down his bond based on the fact that he was arrested and didn't turn himself in. But I give you credit for trying to say, look at this, not at that. It might work with other people. It does not work with me. And I want to go back to, actually, she said something very valuable. And that is, once you file a civil lawsuit, does that make me not believe her? No, I think she should file a civil lawsuit. But a good defense attorney like Rockwell will take that innocent fact and twist it around and contort it and fire it back at her on cross-examination. Along the lines of, isn't it true you filed a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against Mr. Combs? Isn't that true? And she'll have to say yes. And then they'll say, so you want this jury to believe that you're only coming forward because you were, not because you want the money. And
because you're what?
Coming forward because you were.
Oh, I don't know. They muted her out. What'd she say there?
Not because you want the money. And
maybe they muted out victim or something.
And then she'll have to say and explain herself to the jury. Is it true? No. Will it happen in court? Absolutely. You be the judge. You listen to Thalia Graves. Listen.
Some of the hardest parts of this pain are the shame and the guilt I have experienced that plays a negative part in my day-to-day ability to function properly. Being blamed, questioned, and threatened has often made me feel worthless, isolated, and sometimes responsible for what happened to me.
To Dr. Bethany Marshall, renowned psychoanalyst joining us out of Beverly Hills, author of Deal Breaker. You can also see her on Peacock. Dr. Bethany Marshall, when I hear what that victim says, it's so upsetting. And she said it all. I'm glad she's got Gloria Allred by her side. I know a lot of people, mock Allred and make fun of Allred. They're just jealous. She's an incredible lawyer, and she stands by her client through hell and high water. But she says, the shame and guilt I have experienced plays a negative part in my life every day. And I have found that to be true with not only victims, but adult victims of child. Even after all those years, Bethany, they're still hounded, haunted by what happened to them as a child and that feeling of helplessness. I can't stress that enough. You get over the cuts, the bruises, the abrasions of a rape or a sin.
Thank you,
You
Carly.
go forward with that. You heal. But up here, I don't know that you ever heal, Bethany.
Nancy, you never heal. And let's just be clear about what happened to her. She was served a drink with drugs in it. She was brought into his studio. When she came to, Sean Puffy Combs allegedly was bashing her head against a pool table. She woke up again to being raped by him and his bodyguard. And then once again, being forced to perform.
Yeah, that's wild.
So let's just contextualize my comments. And that is that she's definitely experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder. And the cognitive component is self-blame, intrusive thoughts that one is to blame for the crime that occurred, for the assault that occurred. But Nancy, there are other symptoms. Avoidance is one of the most prominent symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. In this case, it would be avoidance of anything that would remind her of the original trauma. So she, for instance, she may not be able to date because if a man flirts with her, she's going to be going into a flashback and then confusing that with the original trauma because the brain evens out past and present. Anything in the present that is reminiscent of the original trauma is felt to be identical. So let's say she gets in a great relationship, she's about to have sex or to be intimate, and all of a sudden she goes into a flashback and experiences herself as about to be. So this is disrupting her
Bethany,
relationships.
I've got an example that I want to give you.
Okay.
I had a very close colleague when I was criminal prosecutor, violent crime prosecutor. And when I had any legal issue, I would go to her. Brilliant mind. Happily married, well into her marriage. She suddenly had a flashback of being by a family member as a child. Can I tell you that was the beginning of the end of her marriage? All those years later. It happens.
That's right.
It happens. And people may not believe it, but I know her like the back of my hand. And I remember when it happened. And
Nancy, I had a patient.
It was
for many
so
years
vivid and so upsetting. She couldn't eat for days.
Yeah. Yeah, because she had that intrusive memory. She had no idea that it happened until it went through her mind. Nancy, I saw a patient for many years who was repeatedly assaulted as a child, and she finally found a great relationship with a wonderful man, but she couldn't be sexually intimate because when he was about to, make love to her, she would actually experience it as if she was being.
Disgraced rapper and musician Sean Puffy Combs sits in a jail cell while he is served with yet another lawsuit alleging he assaulted and filmed his attack on a victim.
As Diddy sits in jail on federal charges, a 12th victim has come forward with a lawsuit alleging Sean Combs drugged and raped her. Thalia Graves, who was dating a bad boy employee, says she accepted a glass of wine from Diddy while riding in a car driven by head of security Joseph Sherman. Graves says she doesn't remember passing out, but when she wakes up, she's lying face down on a pool table with her hands tied behind her back as Sean Combs rapes her. Years later, Graves learns Combs videoed the attack and distributed it to others.
Good Lord in heaven. Videoed the attack and distributed the video to others. Graves, the lady we're seeing, Thalia Graves, claims she vomited and involuntarily during the attack. She claimed Sean Combs wiped it all off and continued her. She says Combs threatened her over the years to stay quiet. Now, let's just think about what we're hearing right now. The statute of limitations has run on her case. She stayed quiet for a long time, understandably, if this is true. She can still come into court, people. Get ready for that as a similar transaction. And Renee Rockwell, you know how much I love. That's the first thing I would do when I get a case. Run the rap sheet. Run it in every state, every jurisdiction for me to start looking for similar transactions. Because if they're identical enough and they're close enough in time, they can be brought in front of a jury to show multiple things. Motive, course of conduct, frame of mind, MO, modus operandi, method of operation. It can be used for many, many things. And this woman, Thalia Graves, is saying exactly what the current accusers are saying, Renee.
Exactly, Nancy. They all come in. The jury hears everything and can't decide what's important. Do I consider this just for the instant crime, or is this his signature crime? Is this his MO with every female? Another interesting thing is, and when we talk about the video tape recordings of all these incidents, Nancy, I'll be interested in knowing if the attorney is going to try to keep those excluded. In other words, they're picked up on a search warrant and they're opened without another search warrant. Remember, we went through that with a different case in Fulton County. So it'll be interesting.
Good luck on that. Because when you go in on a search warrant and you are looking for evidence that would be probative, prove something to a crime, you can look at the video. But I'd like to hear you make that argument in court. It's a good one, Renee, and not going to work. I want to go back to Thalia Graves. Thalia Graves, the one that vomited and during the attack. You be the judge. This is damning. If this is true, and like Rockwell said, Combs is believed, assumed, presumed innocent until proven guilty. Okay. Do you believe her? Listen.
The trauma of the assault has taken a toll on my mental health. I've had PTSD, depression, and anxiety. I'm emotionally scarred. It has been hard for me to trust others, to form healthy relationships, or even feel safe in my own skin.
Dr. Bethany Marshall, just watching her, I want to get your analysis of looking at her and hearing her.
Nancy, she sounds like she's in a major depressive disorder, that her cognition is a little bit slowed, meaning that she is so preoccupied with what happened to her, it's probably even difficult to get words out. Nancy, I doubt that she's really able to work, so she deserves to bring this civil lawsuit forward. She needs that money in order to support her for the rest of her life, not only support her financially, but also to pay for all of her medical needs. But again, she is classically post-traumatic stress disorder. This is classic tearfulness, anxiety.
Okay, Bethany, you look at this completely differently than I do, because I don't know all the words you're saying. I don't have your vernacular. But this is what I look for in any witness statement. I look for demeanor. I look to see if they're having the reaction I would expect them to have. Of course, I could be wrong, but I look for that. But one thing I look for the most, that is their statement rich in detail? Detail that would be difficult to make up. Combs's family has come out and stated that the recent book by Kim Porter is not Kim's words. However, I find it extremely rich in detail, with details I would not expect someone to readily put out there because they're very, very embarrassing. And she, Kim Porter, in this reported book, says what you just said, that Combs would set up threesomes, which would get bigger and bigger and bigger all the time, and it would be Porter with Combs and other guys. And then bit by bit, she noticed that it's mostly them, and she's just standing, she's not really taking part in it. That's what is in her book.
What? And Nancy, this was not a book when she originally wrote it. Women who are victims of domestic violence and assault notoriously keep diaries. And the reason they keep diaries is the assault leaves them in a dissociated state where they don't trust their own perceptions. So they write and write and write about what happened to them because they're trying to make sense of it. I've had abuse victims drive around with piles of notebooks in the back of their car because all they were doing was writing and writing to just kind of hold on to the thread of the horrible criminal actions against them and trying to make.
Is the camera outside just moving? It looked like it was moving. What the? Yeah, we got the debate tonight, guys. I can't wait for the debate. I have my drinks, Tammy says. I've been posting about it here for people. Do you know what time you're going live? 9 p.m. East? I don't know. It starts at 9. I thought it was like 7 at first, but I think that was the wrong time. Let me look real quick. Vice presidential debate. Time. Is that at 9 like you guys were? Maybe it's at 9, what you guys were saying. I was supposed to take care of this other stuff today, and I haven't even touched it, to be honest with you. Oh, debate starts at 9 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday and runs 90 minutes, an hour and a half. Okay. The same length as the 2 presidential debates. Okay. And CBS is hosting it tonight on the political channel. We'll be streaming it. So we'll see how that goes.
Make sense of it. So this was her diary. This wasn't a book. This is her diary.
Defendant Combs and another defendant committed a violation of New York civil rights law, quote, section 52-B, and quote, by quote, plaintiff and recording it. The lawsuit also alleges that, quote, defendant Combs and another defendant published and or disseminated the videos without plaintiff's knowledge or consent.
Please join us on our mission to find missing people.
Diddy behind bars in a New York jail with alleged barbaric and dangerous conditions as he's placed on suicide watch.
Suicide watch? He's getting treated with kid gloves when his lawyer has come out and said he's not suicidal. So he's basically in the medical unit getting special treatment. But now, Diddy hungry?
Oh.
Apparently, he's missing his private chef. I hate when that happens, when you can't take your private chef, your celebrity chef, with you behind bars at the Metro Detention Center. That's gotta hurt. But we are also hearing that he is so self-centered, he thinks he may be poisoned behind bars. Let's just think that through to its logical conclusion. To Dr. Dwayne Hendricks joining us, former associate warden at the MDC in Brooklyn, and there's just so much more to his resume. But I will say, author, who are you? See it, say it, and seize it. Okay, Dr. Hendricks, can we just talk about the MDC for one moment and what it would take? I mean, Epstein reportedly killed himself, and the guards didn't even notice. They were online shopping and sleeping. So under this theory, they're not slackers anymore, and they're willing to execute a covert operation to poison Diddy, right? How's that going to happen, Dr. Hendricks?
First of all, that's not going to happen. MCC New York is where the incident happened with Mr. Epstein. But at MDC Brooklyn, that definitely will not happen. But in terms of the conditions, his conditions, think about someone who probably never wore the same outfit twice in a row or 2 times.
Maybe not even shoes. Got different shoes, cars, people cooking for him 24/7. You know,
and now all of a sudden you are in handcuffs.
You're
being processed. You're being booked. You're getting fingerprinted.
You're eating powdered eggs for breakfast.
Going through an intake process. They ask you questions about your.
Hey, that's the toilet there too. Woo. I guess that's the toilet system. What's that? You wash your hands there too, or it's a dual thing. You wash your hands, or you drink from the fountain if you're thirsty. What's this? I guess a dresser, shelf.
Your medical history, your mental health. Are you in fear for your life?
Wait, excuse me, Dr. Hendricks. Excuse me.
Yes.
Excuse me. Mm-hmm. Could I ask the control room why you keep showing me photos of a metal urinal? I don't care that Combs has to urinate into a metal urinal.
No.
Don't care. So if you think that's engendering sympathy or empathy, it's not. Okay, I'm sorry, Dr. Hendricks. You were saying for a guy that's used to never wearing the same outfit twice, what were you saying?
Yeah, and who's never lost control of his whereabouts. I mean, you think about, you go from a 14,000 square foot mansion in one city, a 17,000 square foot mansion in another city, and now you're in a 6 foot by 8 foot cell, 23 hours a day for the foreseeable future. That will take a mental toll on a person. However, I'm sure he's going through an array of emotions in terms of wanting to control his environment, what he eats, when he sleeps, who he gets to talk to. And based on the high profile, because this is a high profile case, obviously we would want to, or the institution would want to place him in a special housing or in an area where they can, monitor his behavior and make sure that he is not.
Oh, yes. BS. Sorry.
Come on, Nancy.
BS.
No.
He is in a special unit because he's rich and famous. Just like Bateman Free down the hall from him. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He is not suicidal. So why is he on the med unit?
And by the way, somebody in the chat mentioned missiles launched from Iran towards Israel, so they're firing back. Now, I don't know if any of them are landing. I don't know if I have time to do that later, honestly, because between this, the sheriff, and the debate, I don't know, but it looks a little interesting. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, I'm not sure exactly what unit he's on, but if he's in special housing,
I just told you.
If he is in special housing, he is in administrative detention. Okay, and they need to assess his case in terms of being high profile, especially with the what happened with the individual Epstein at MCC New York. They're going to treat him just like they treated Ghislaine Maxwell, the same way they treated R. Kelly when he was incarcerated there. He is not getting special
treatment. Did you say high profile? He
Yes.
is in a different unit because he's high profile. And while I've got you, Dr. Dwayne Hendricks, look, I'm not attacking you. I'm attacking what's happening. Did I hear steak? Did I hear chicken? Bone-in chicken with stuffed chicken with rice.
Yeah, that's all good.
Eggplant parm, a ribbed steak. What? I don't get.
Wow, mac and cheese, O's Commissary, Chips Ahoy, Snickers, rib steak, Hershey's bars, mini peanut butter cups, chocolate pretzels, eggplant parm. I don't know about the eggplant parm, but wow. Okay.
That? Why is he getting it?
That is not true. He's not getting it. I'm sitting here looking at the national menu for the Federal Bureau of Prisons as we speak. You're talking about Parmesan. On certain Mondays of the month, they get chicken Parmesan. And I'll tell you.
Yeah, nobody want eggplant Parmesan. What the hell?
In detention centers, food.
I love eggplant Parmesan. I know somebody's going to come. I love that. What are you talking about, man?
Wait, are you actually trying to make a difference with me between chicken parm and eggplant parm?
There you go. Let's go, Nancy. Let's go.
Oh no, it's not eggplant parm, Nancy. It's chicken parm.
What I'm trying to explain, Nancy.
It's not that extravagant. It's actually chicken, non-GMO, or no, GMO chicken. I'm really surprised they get non-GMO chicken.
It's a national menu. These meals are cooked 3 days in advance. Okay, so can you think about having?
Like most of these restaurants with roaches, rats, all kinds of stuff walking all over your food, the ingredients pooping, peeing all over the food and stuff that they're serving you in the restaurants. Some of these cooks are probably spitting on your food and God knows what else.
1,500 persons that you have to cook for every day, 3 meals a day. They're cooked in a certain location in the jail. They have to be packaged.
Oh, yeah. It's sterile in a sterile environment. With they're wearing sterile gloves, highly qualified.
Put in food.
It's kosher. They do have kosher things, I think, in some places.
Carts, and then moved over to the housing unit they're in. They're ribeye steaks.
Don't care. What does that have to do with what I'm saying?
No, what I'm saying is he's not getting the food that you're talking about.
Damn, they pull up the menu. Okay, let's see. Hold on. Breakfast, hot grits. I'm not a grits person. I'm not into grits. Hot oatmeal. Okay, oatmeal, cool. Pancakes with syrup. All right. French toast with syrup and potatoes. Don't got no eggs? I'll take the powder eggs. Lunch is potatoes with gravy, Southwest chicken wrap. Damn. Chicken sandwich, hamburgers, baked chicken, mac and cheese, tacos, sloppy Joe. I've had sloppy Joe since I was a kid in school. If it's the breakfast, I'll either take, I don't know, some days maybe the hot oatmeal or the French toast with syrup, maybe. Or the potatoes is good too. They gotta give you something on the side. It can't just be it, right? The lunch, sometimes I'd have the hamburger. Those tacos, I don't know how the tacos is over there. Tacos, sloppy Joe, right out of the can too. Sloppy Joe. And then for dinner, they got roast beef. I'm not a roast beef person. Turkey roast. Salisbury steak, I like that. A little Salisbury steak. Barbecue pork. Swedish meatballs from Sweden. Okay. Fried rice. Pepper steak. Baked ziti. That's just on fire. Wow.
There is no steak.
What exactly is Sean Diddy Combs eating in jail? Word is, it's not the meals provided by food services for fear he might be poisoned. Ex-inmate Larry Levine says Combs may be paranoid, but it's not unimaginable that someone inside could be paid off to poison the food with a substance that could give Diddy a heart attack, for instance. Correctional officers don't make a lot of money, and the people who may or may not be on Diddy's tapes have plenty of money. Levine concedes a much simpler explanation is many prisoners just don't like the food when they first arrive.
Yeah, especially when you've been living with a private chef. Okay, Dr. Bethany, help me out because I don't think I have the right words to truly enunciate the massive me. He actually thinks somebody's going to risk their job to kill him and nobody will ever find out. You don't think they'll do an autopsy and find poison in his system?
I don't know, man, because what happened with Epstein? Did they do an actual autopsy with that guy? What with Epstein? Well, they never investigated. If he really does have videos with people that are like celebrities or politicians or whatever, yeah, I would think that maybe they're trying to poison me and kill me. Why not?
Is he crazy?
Nancy, yes, certifiably, he's crazy. You know, Nancy, it's very typical for men who are sociopathic, and obviously I don't know Sean Puffy Combs, but the traits that I'm seeing are very sociopathic. For them to feel grandiose and vulnerable, like they can get away with everything until they get caught. Once they're caught, they do become quite paranoid. It's like there's this weird psychological collapse where all of a sudden they think everybody's against them, and they're right. They are going to get in trouble. People are against them, but not in the sense that they're going to poison the food. Can
you please put it in a nutshell because you're totally losing me in the weeds. What? Nobody's poisoning Diddy. That's just another grandiose conspiracy theory.
He's paranoid because he knows he did bad things.
I don't think it's just that. I actually really do believe this guy, and I'm not a conspiracy person myself. Like, I'm not really into like all this crazy shit, but I really do believe this guy had some high, I don't know, well-known celebrities, actors, or, musicians, whatever you want to call it, rapper, or blah, blah, blah. I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if some of them are on tape. Right? I would not be surprised at all.
He's displacing it into
okay,
the
that
food.
I just understood. Renee Rockwell with me, a veteran criminal defense attorney who, I don't know how she does it, defends every day of her life. Have fun with that, Renee. But really, he actually thinks he's going to get poisoned behind?
Yeah.
What?
Nancy, do you think for one second that his life is not in danger? He's got federal charges. They're very, very serious.
Did you want me to actually answer that?
Oh. Yo, Nancy's like, oh my God.
Yes, I think somebody might enjoy beating him up. Nobody's going to poison him.
Why not? If they enjoy beating him up, why wouldn't they poison him?
You think his life is not in danger with federal charges where other people are going to be implicated?
Just even his name alone. Just even his name alone, Diddy. There's people that have done that shit for free. Kill somebody in jail for whatever reason. Or kill somebody because they've essayed multiple people. I'm trying to remember, who's that guy that was killed in jail? Was it Jeffrey? Jeffrey Dahmer was killed in jail, wasn't he? Jeffrey Dahmer? Some guy shanked his ass? He's prolific, right? Or infamous, whatever word you want to use. Yeah. Somebody would shank his ass just to get that name, the Diddy Killer, the Diddler Killer.
He's on fire right now. He's on fire right now. The only thing he can do,
and supposedly children too. Yeah,
is stop, drop, and roll. He's gonna have to roll.
Okay, I don't even know what that has to do with him being poisoned and behind bars. I can't wait to find out if Diddy gonna do a hunger strike. Not happening. Oh, I just had a great idea, Renee. Maybe he should get a royal food taster for King Combs behind bars. What about that, Dr. Hendricks? Now we're gonna have to test his food so nobody drops a little poison in there.
No, that wouldn't need to happen. The inmates, the incarcerated persons are the ones who's preparing those meals, and no one's going to poison his food. Now, I will say this, as far as a hunger strike, they are monitoring all of his meals, and if he misses a certain amount, the medical staff will be checking his vitals.
You sound like he works for the prison or something, or a representative for the prison system.
And mental health staff will be checking in.
Can't believe this guy's getting all this.
Oh, he was beat with dumbbells? I thought he was shanked. Maybe, no, you probably, yeah, I guess you're right, yeah. Which is ironic because that's what he used to kill his first victim, says RZA Cat. Okay, thank you. I thought he was shanked. I may be thinking of somebody else.
Checking his vitals, my rear end. You know what? Let's bring it home like Lynn Shaw says. Can we stop talking about his food and his celebrity chef and his alleged poisoning behind bars? This is what I'm talking about. Listen.
The DHS, Department of Homeland Security source, says Sean Combs kept sensitive and embarrassing videos from the sessions as collateral to ensure silence from his victims, who are often young women, barely old enough or still too young to legally consent to sexual activity. He further says the recovered tapes show women completely out of it, while male sex workers assault them on Combs' orders. The investigator says, in his opinion, Diddy's as bad as Jeffrey Epstein.
Wow.
Not only
honestly,
the women, the allegations.
I mean, I've seen some stuff on Jeffrey and I've seen some documentaries, but to me, I almost feel like Diddy's getting more press coverage than Epstein. You know, it's like Diddy's the biggest trafficker of all. I've never seen anything like this before. And there are so many people coming out. I don't know if this many people came out on Epstein. I wonder. So many people coming out on Diddy. People lined up. I've never seen anything like this. I'm not trying to discredit them or anything. I'm just saying I never seen. I'm not saying it hasn't happened. I just, I haven't seen anything like this. And it's like round the clock. I feel like Epstein, it was big, but it also got like, I feel like it got pushed aside a little bit. Kind of just like it kind of disappeared. Kind of. I mean, they talked about it, but. I don't feel like it's like this, like with Diddy. Also, the Tupac and Diddy hits too. Yeah. Definitely research snails, Red Base. Okay, I need to take a look at that. I thought about getting snails for the tank, but I don't know. I just saw them in the tank and they look cute. I have got no fish in there right now. Today, I think we're going to go try to get the water tested to see if it's ready. Thought about some snail or freshwater shrimp. Mustard Mama, thank you so much for the 20 memberships. Thank you. Diddy was violent. Epstein was not violent. What Buttercup Baby says. No snails?
Not yet proved in court, but videoing them and dispersing them, Lynn Shaw, this is exactly what you were talking about.
I don't even know what we're talking about here today. We're talking about if he can get some extra Snickers bars, this guy, when 1 in 4 children in America go to bed hungry every night. I know lawyers, I say this with all due respect, you're ruining everything for assault victims and victims. I'm even married to a lawyer. Why are we disbelieving the victims? You always believe a victim until proven otherwise. We're worried about he's going to be poisoned. I'm sure in this jail, detention center, they're lined up and want to use their commissary dollars to buy him.
Damn, so that's Usher and Diddy right there. And then you get Justin Bieber looks like.
Him food. I am sick of talking about him. Because now we have all these videos and nobody's addressing, I am sure. Not only has he blackmailed people, threatened people, and we don't know. There are going to be probably thousands of women, and I'm going to keep saying minors, boys, and young men too, and men also. And this is the tip of the iceberg. So we should be talking about that. And furthermore, I spent yesterday, we work with victims every single day at the Warriors. And I was with one of our warriors yesterday, and she said, stop calling it post-traumatic stress disorder. Call it post-traumatic stress. It is not a disorder, Lynn. Look what was done to us. We can't eat. We can't work. You can't work. You can't make money. You might have children. How are you going to feed your children? This is the focus. Lives are ruined, and it goes on the trauma for the rest of one's life. And that's where we should be putting the focus, not on he is welcome to have Swedish meatballs and mashed potatoes and gravy. I don't want to hear about that anymore. Focus on the victims.
Wow. She's over it. She's not having it. Well, press conference is supposed to be starting soon. If they start on time, I'm really curious what they're going to say.
I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would masturbate and tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard a lot of business. Because what they would do is Sean talks a lot on the phone and on the TV with speakers and stuff, and I was like a sex slave.
That is Jonathan Odie under interrogation, describing basically, in his words, being a sex slave to Sean Combs. But what sticks out in my mind about what he said is that he says he hears Combs doing business deals. That's exactly what Kim Porter says in her book. And she refers to a hit on Notorious B.I.G., Biggie, and a hit on Tupac Shakur. Her children and family say she didn't write it. That said, that's in the book. But that said, where are all of Combs's celebrity friends? Joining us now, a PR guru, marketing executive, best-selling author of Enemies Closer, his latest book. He is also president and CEO of Breaking News PR, Josh Sabera. Josh, thank you for joining us. Where are all Diddy's friends? Because, during Harvey Weinstein, they couldn't get in front of a microphone fast enough. But now everybody's gone DEFCON 4, radio silent.
Right. It's the typical Hollywood reputation management situation where you're guilty by association. So,
Sheila, that's what this live stream is about. She said, did you see the Houston lawyer Buzzbee has another 100 pending lawsuits? Yeah, there's a press conference happening, about to happen. That's what we're here for. We're waiting for the press conference. What's up, Dana? How you doing? Should be starting soon in a couple of minutes. A lot of stuff happening around the world. Between North Carolina, the hurricane. I feel really bad for those people. Bueller, if you're watching, I don't even know if you can watch. I'm sorry I didn't call you. Get a Bueller boots on the ground. I'm gonna call you today. I'm sorry I didn't call you yesterday. I don't know if you can watch me. He's out there. The weather out there. Iran firing back. Oh my God, what did I just see on Twitter? This is crazy. I should stop looking at Twitter. I was going to check the news, but some of the videos on there, holy crap. Iran supposedly is firing back to Israel, and it's like live on video, I guess. Like everything's, you can literally see Israel's under attack right now. Holy crap, they're firing back. Allah! Allah! Sorry. Oh, are they hitting stuff? They're actually making hits? Holy shit. Wow. This November we must bring back mean tweets and world peace. Wow. Let me look real quick. Hold on, let's see. See the video. I mean, I should be looking for the Tel Aviv live shot. Okay, I want to see this shit flying though. It's nothing. They're not. It's peaceful and quiet right there. Hold on, let me see. Iran getting attacked. Let's just take a look real quick. I want to see what's going on while we wait for Presser. Oh my gosh, it's crazy!
Doing their amazing work. It's wild to plan for this, prep for this, know this can and could happen, but when we're on the floor holding the kids while the booms go off, it is a different perspective. That is a young American family who said, we just got the all clear.
That is crazy.
So we can leave now.
Martha, thank you.
To hear that perspective and realize that you can look at those interceptions, you can know what those missiles mean and where they can hit, but being with your scared little kids is a whole different perspective.
So some of them looks like it's hitting.
And it seems that this has become a part of their lives, particularly in the past year. Martha, they're in Jerusalem. Martha, thank you. Let's take it back to our Matt Gutman. Matt, we are now in wait-and-see mode.
We are, and you can see the flak jackets off. The helmet's gone. Israel has announced the all clear. We understand that there have been over 150, possibly 180 missiles that were fired. Traffic is going again, but the damage is still being assessed, and we're seeing these.
Okay. Wow. Maybe I should have been covering that today. I don't know. Pretty crazy. All right, let me look for the press conference. Let me just check here. Let me check the Facebook page for the lawyer first. Crazy times, right? Like, are we going to see the... I mean, not that I want that. I would never want that. But are we going to see the end of the world in our lifetime? Like, is that... Or a huge nuclear warfare bomb, World War III? I don't know. Right? It's just crazy. 2024 has been crazy. Let's see. We got a press conference. Give me a press conference. IDF missiles launched from Iran towards Israel. Pretty wild. Nothing yet. No pressers yet. Maybe it's going to pop up right at 2 o'clock. Diddy press conference. Almost there now, right? The rapture ready? Better start praying. My gosh. Okay, no press conference yet. All right, I'll play a little bit more of this while we wait.
I would advise a client not to speak on the subject because it then puts their name in the mix when something's in a very hot or current news cycle. So they become attached to something that they don't necessarily want to be. But as you know, Hollywood can be conspicuously silent.
I know how you are, in fact, a city boy, but in my neck of the woods, when you pass a cow pasture, you don't run straight to the cow poop and jump in it because it will stick on your clothes. So let me understand something. Now all of Sean Combs' famous friends, business partners, they're all being scrutinized. Every other day, I see another famous star. Look, they're in a picture with Combs. You got, I don't know if Obama's been in a picture or not, but you got Trump, you've got Hillary, I think you've got Harris. You have, there's Usher. You got Justin Bieber. You have Naomi Campbell. You got the Kardashians. Everybody is pictured with him like that's somehow incriminating. Well, it's not.
Correct, but in this climate, and social media being, so important to people, everything can be a landmine in the middle of cancel culture. So nobody wants to take that risk. And taking a stand means that they're attaching themselves to a negative news story that's very current. And nobody wants to have their name associated with it. But the truth is, and Nancy, being a celebrity, people take pictures at parties, events, all kinds of things. And you don't necessarily know who you're taking a picture with or what's in that person's past.
So they're choosing to stay silent so they don't get the stink on them. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. They, people don't want the association. It's like when a brand wants to disassociate from somebody because they're afraid of tarnishing it. For example, Kanye West and Adidas.
Dr. Bethany Marshall, did you just hear Josh Sabera? What, are they afraid they don't want to go down with the ship? Or are they jumping ship like drowning rats?
Nancy, they were on the ship with P. Diddy. They did see things. They did hear things. Somebody that like P. Diddy is so pathological. All he wants to do is talk about sex and his obsession with drugging women and putting them behind locked doors, just like he did on Conan O'Brien. I'm sure he talked to his celebrity friends. They dismissed it. They're thinking back on it. They're like, ruh-roh, I was involved conversationally in talking about a crime.
And while they, I believe, were not part of the so-called freak-offs, that's certainly putting perfume on the pig. That's a euphemism. It's sex trafficking, as Lynn Shaw keeps reminding us rightfully. They're all gone. Why? They wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole. But if you know or think you know information that would be pertinent to the prosecution of Sean Puffy Combs, please dial toll-free 877-WANTED-2. Repeat, 877-926-8332. 877-926-8332. What you have to offer may be vital to these alleged victims.
All right, still waiting on the presser. I don't see nothing yet. Nada. I don't think Diddy's ever getting out again. Ever. It's a wrap for the diddler. I just don't see it. How? That squirrel, man. Those squirrels have been ravaging havoc outside. Messing up the seeds. The bird food, throwing the bird food around, scattering shit, making a mess. I think he was even eating some of the plants the other day. A squirrel. I need some more squirrel sauce. It'll come back. He's gotten comfortable. Too comfortable. All right, Diddy press conference. Where are you? Where are you? Diddy.
Show teeth. And nigga, that's it. You know what I mean? You lotion yourself depending on the weather. Somebody said, oh, you still smell like ass? Nigga, I use soap. What the fuck? Anyway, all right. Whatever. Somebody says, YB's no victim. Oh, shit. I remember, this is a crazy still shot. I remember Youngboy and Diddy, I think they were on like live feed or something like that. Or no.
Where is it? Oh, here it is. Here it is.
We will find this, and we're going to follow this evidence wherever it takes us. We will find the silent of many people and many entities involved. And we're going to follow this evidence wherever it takes us. We will find the silent accomplices. We will expose the enablers who enabled this conduct behind closed doors. We will pursue this matter, no matter who the evidence implicates.
Turn up the volume.
These brave victims who have stepped forward deserve nothing less. The biggest secret in the entertainment industry that really wasn't a secret at all has finally been revealed to the world. The wall of silence has now been broken, and victims are coming forward. Our team has had at this point more than 3,285 individuals contact us with people claiming to have been victimized. At this point, more than 3,285 individuals contact us with people claiming to have been victimized by Sean Combs. After vetting, we now represent 120 individuals who intend to bring civil claims in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs, as well as claims against many other individuals and entities that we will name as defendants as we file these individual cases. And you should know, to the extent the clients feel comfortable, we also intend to make these individuals available to the authorities, specifically to the FBI. And you should also know a few of them have already been spoken to by the FBI. Now, before we discuss the nature of the claims and claimants themselves, let me comment on the large volume of calls we have received since our first announcement. Even before the indictment of Sean Combs, we had received a small volume of calls and had screened a handful of cases. After the indictment of Sean Combs and the announcement that we were pursuing these claims, the floodgates opened. People who wouldn't otherwise, for a variety of reasons, are now stepping forward to make their voices heard and to pursue justice. But no, most of these people are scared. They fear backlash in their communities. They fear backlash in their own families. They are afraid of retaliation from the perpetrators and their associates. They are rightly afraid for their own personal safety. I expect that through this process, many powerful people will be exposed. Many dirty secrets will be revealed. We know what we are potentially up against. And as is always the case in situations like this, when a celebrity is involved, people can be downright mean and nasty. You would be shocked at the length fans will go, no matter the evidence, to the contrary, to defend celebrities they love.
That's true. Hey, we see it all the time.
For this word, fans, they're
It
fanatics.
don't matter what you did. You can kill somebody, rape somebody,
already been
do shit against
multiple
kids. They
times
still,
on
I
social
love
media.
you, support you.
When I agreed to pursue this, I expected as much. This isn't my first rodeo.
I
But
say the
victims
wrong
who
thing
step
on
forward
Twitter, people lose
to
their
have
mind.
Their voices heard should not be subjected to that kind of
How the could you not?
They should not be targeted. I want to say this, and I want to be clear about it. Although we are vetting each call as stringently as we can, I always start with a mindset that I believe victims. I believe victims because I understand the tremendous courage it takes to step forward.
That's
if you're watching this, please hear
dude.
me. If you're out there and you have been victimized, you are not alone. There is a great strength in numbers. You can seek redress. You can obtain justice. We can help you, and we will help you. That being said, as stated, we are vetting every call that we receive. We have had to turn away some. For each, we ask for corroboration. For each, we ask for the identity of witnesses. We also have collected pictures, videos, texts. We check venues, we check dates. We want to corroborate that the claims being made have legitimacy and merit. We have on staff now a former detective from the Major Offenders Unit of Houston Police Department who is helping us vet each claim. We're using our common sense. We're being stringent because, as I said, these are not easy cases. They're very tough. The process is hard, and in some cases, the process is very lengthy. These cases are hard to prove. Many times it's the victim's word against the alleged perpetrator. Each of these victims will no doubt be publicly attacked by the alleged perpetrators, and in some cases, the general public. The feckless and cowardly keyboard warriors love to attack. We know what
keyboard
we're up
warriors.
against. We did not enter this fray blindly.
Okay.
I wish it was my last such fray. I wish this type of hate behavior wasn't so pervasive. But it is what it is, so we will press on. As I said, our law firms have been retained by 120 individuals at this point to pursue cases in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs. You should know, in this group, it is evenly divided between males and females. There are 60 males and 60 females who have joined us to pursue these claims as plaintiffs. In this group, 62% identify as African American, 30% are white, and the remainder are Hispanic or Asian. The victims are from more than 25 states. The majority are from California, New York, Georgia, and Florida. And I want to focus on the ages of these victims. When we talk about the ages of the victims when the conduct occurred, it's shocking. Our youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old. We have an individual who was 14 years old. We have one who was 15. 25 of the 120 individuals
15.
who are plaintiffs in these cases were minors at the time of the acts complained of. Wow. The time frame of the acts complained of is very wide. The conduct at issue spans from the years 1991 all the way till this year, 2024. If you wonder why there are so many alleged victims, that's your answer. We're talking about more than 25 years of this type of conduct. Now, although most of the victims who have stepped forward were victimized after 2015, this has been going on for a very long time. Now, when you think about the fact that some of this conduct occurred 25 years ago, and you wonder why would it take somebody so long to step forward, I want to remind you that many states in the United States have recognized that it's very difficult for a victim to step forward and to make these types of allegations when something very terrible has happened to them. I'll use New York, the state of New York, as an example. The state of New York has specific statutes in place that revive claims that are even claims that would typically be not able to be brought, that revive such claims, and they can be brought even 25 to 30 years later. Because there's a recognition there in New York and California and other states that it's very difficult for a victim to come forward. And I would respectfully suggest the only reason many of these people are coming forward because they see other victims coming forward. And it gives them some comfort that, hey, I won't be the only one. And I expect more victims will come forward. You know, there's an old saying that says, a lie has great speed, but truth has endurance. The acts complained of in these cases that we're going to file occurred primarily in New York, either Manhattan or the Hamptons, or occurred in California, primarily in Los Angeles, or in Florida, primarily in Miami. Most of these events and incidents occurred at parties, typically after parties, or album release parties, New Year's Eve parties, 4th of July parties, something they called a puppy party, the all-white party, although several of these events occurred at auditions. Many times, especially young people wanting to break into the industry, were coerced into this type of conduct in the promise of being made a star or in the promise of having Sean Combs listen to their tape or even let them read for Sean Combs. You should know that some of this behavior occurred at well-known venues in New York City. Some of this behavior occurred at private residences of people that we all know. Wow. Some of this behavior occurred at hotels that we're all familiar with. You should know that more than 55% of the victims filed reported this conduct to either the authorities, that is the police, or to hospitals. We're in the process of collecting with our team assistants medical records, reports that were made to the authorities, and I've already said that some of the individuals in this group did in fact talk to the FBI. You should know that several of the individuals, and when I say several, I mean many, who did in fact seek medical treatment were drug tested, and drugs were found in their system, weird drugs, drugs that you probably never heard of. One in particular that continues to pop up is a drug called xylazine, or trank, which based on our research is known as a horse tranquilizer. Now, there's been a lot of reports that we're filing a class action. This is not a class action. Class actions when one or two people file a case on behalf of a group of people. That's not this. These cases will be individual cases. Individual? Each case will live and die on its own merit. These cases will be filed individually, one plaintiff against whoever the defendants were involved in the case. Each case may be filed in one venue like California, another case may be filed in New York. One case may sue just Sean Combs, but multiple other people. One case may sue a range of people. I would expect most, though, to be filed, as I said, in New York and Los Angeles. Now, I know this. Many of you came here thinking or hoping or perhaps believing that I may start naming names. Well, that day will come, but it won't be today. The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already. And of course, I already know who some of these individuals are, but because of the nature of this case, we're going to make damn sure that we're right before we do that. But the names that we're going to name, assuming that our investigators confirm and corroborate what we've been told, are names that will shock you. These are individual cases. There are indeed other perpetrators involved. They will be revealed when that particular individual case is ready to be filed. They already know who they are. And I'm talking here about not just the cowardly but complicit bystanders. That is, those people that we know watched this behavior occur and did nothing. But I'm talking about the people that participated, encouraged it, egged it on. They know who they are.
Wow.
I call them the facilitators of foul play, willing participants in vile conduct. As we identify them, each will be part of this case as defendants. These defendants will not only include individuals, but would also include corporate entities who ultimately profited off of this culture and behavior. I'm looking at banks, pharmaceutical companies, hotels. We know that many of these individuals were paid cash. We know that many of these individuals involved, whether they were the ones being assaulted and abused or they're witnessing other people being assaulted and abused and then paid and threatened and told to leave. Typically paid 10 grand in cash and told to leave. And then threatened as they were leaving. So in addition to Sean Combs, you should know the defendants in these cases we're going to file will include anyone, of course, who engaged in the assault or exploitation, anyone who participated in such in any way, anyone who encouraged or facilitated this conduct, anyone who was in the room and watched it happen but made no effort to stop it, any venue or venue owner who was aware of what was going on but failed to stop it, any individual or entity who knew about the conduct and benefited from it but did nothing to report it or stop it, and any individual or entity who covered it up or helped cover it up. These people who know who they are should just come forward now. I would imagine, as we speak here, there are a myriad of people who are very nervous. You can't hide skeletons in the closet forever. I would expect there are many people out there right now who are desperately searching their memories as they delete their texts and data.
Yo.
Now, although these are, in fact, individual cases, there is a common theme, an MO, if you will. Typically, the victim is lured into a situation where he or she is given a drink. Typically, that drink, reported by these victims, is apparently laced with something. Once that drink takes effect, the perpetrators perform all kinds of sexual acts on the victims, many times passing him or her around as other people watch and enjoy the show, and then leave the victim ashamed, confused, injured, and wondering what happened. When the victim reaches out, he or she is told not to say anything. Sometimes there are threats of physical violence or financial repercussions or bodily harm. The claims we intend to bring will include the following: violent sexual assault or rape, sexual abuse, facilitated sex with a controlled substance, false imprisonment, compelling prostitution, sexual misconduct, dissemination of video recordings, false imprisonment, sexual abuse of minors. Given the large volume of cases and given our other docket obligations, and given the fact that we want to be sure when we file these cases that they are fully vetted, I expect we'll start filing these cases against Sean Combs and other perpetrators within the next 30 days. Now, it's rare, sexual abuse, sexual exploitation, this type of activity is pervasive in our society, and it's rare we get a chance where we can really focus on this as a country and really focus on this about how pervasive this is and what we as collectively can do about it. So I thought I'd take this opportunity before I go into some of the individual cases and talk about some of the individual claims being made and so you'll get a sense of what this 120 people group looks like individually. I want to bring forward Carrie Paul. She's a national victim advocate who helps victims who have been victimized by this type of conduct. And she has some important words, and I hope you'll pay close attention. I think it's important that you hear from her.
Hello, I'm Carrie Paul with the National Victim Advocate. It's not easy for any survivor to come forward. Our culture doesn't believe survivors. It blames and questions them. Instead of showing support, many choose to enable abusers. The media runs stories asking why it took so long for survivors to come forward instead of asking what barriers exist.
Twitter.
We also don't equip law enforcement with the ability to handle sexual assault crimes. Lack of funding translates to lack of training. We have officers in the field that don't know what to say to a rape victim, and also an alarming amount of backlogged, untested rape kits. Prosecutors are focused on what they can prove in a case, and if so, how to do that at time of trial. Advocates and staff are stretched thin with growing caseloads in the criminal justice system. Most people don't know how the criminal justice works in general. There isn't enough staff or resources to adequately explain the entire process to every victim and survivor. Our culture works against victims and survivors every day, and abusers know this. Abusers work themselves into positions of power, building a public image that is trusted and financially large enough to make people look away. Abusers are unfortunately very skilled at power and control, the foundation of abuse. They seek victims who are vulnerable, such as children, their employees, and their intimate partners, all who see a different version than the public does, all who rely on the abuser in some way. And for those that do come forward and aren't believed, face questions like, are you sure it happened that way? Were you drinking? What were you wearing? All of this creates an environment that enables abusers to continue abusing them and future victims. To the survivors that have come forward despite not being believed at some point in time, your courage is like nothing we have seen before. We thank you for coming forward for yourself and all survivors. And lastly, I want all survivors that are watching this to know we believe you and we support you. Thank you.
I want you now to hear from my co-counsel, Andrew Van Arsdale. We've created a sexual abuse hotline, and I want him to visit with us just a few moments about how that works and the kind of volume of calls we've received.
Thank you, Tony. Like Tony said, my name is Andrew Ben Arsdale. I'm the managing partner of ABA Law Group. We have offices in California, Montana, and North Carolina. To build off of what you just so well said, it's very hard to come forward. And given what we've experienced the past 10 days is really unprecedented in my career, at least. We represent thousands of survivors of abuse. And never, ever in a 10-day period have we seen over 3,000 people come forward.
3,000?
Confirmed and decided to investigate and represent 120 people while we're continuing to work through another 100+ cases to prove them up, to validate what had happened here, and to hold those that are responsible accountable. And so like Tony said, we've set this up. It's 1-800-200-7474. I have a team of people standing by literally. If you know that this happened to someone and you have information about it, please contact us. If this happened to you, come forward. There's attorney-client privilege here. What you tell us is in confidence. Yes, we'll have to go out and build your case, but we will protect you. And the other thing that I want to say is the pattern and practice of this, again, is unprecedented. Over 30+ years of the same sort of events happening.
That's insane, bro. This sounds like worse than Epstein.
Circle, reportedly, and horrible things happening to them as a result. And from talking to these people that have come forward these past 10 days, I can tell you unequivocally that because the federal government did what it needed to do and indicted this man, that they put him in jail and a judge kept him in jail, they tell me directly, this validates my feelings. For so long, I thought it was my fault. What is it about me that put myself in that scenario? What was I wearing at the time? What did I do to be subjected to such horrific treatment at these people that I was trying to trust? Well, we know now it was not your fault. You were victimized by a group of powerful people that operated for 30+ years, taking advantage of their wealth and the power that they held within the music industry. So again, thank you to every single person that has come forward and contacted our office over the past 10 days. If you or someone you know suffered the same sort of treatment, please contact us at the number behind me and we will help you. Thank you.
I think it speaks to how important this issue is in the United States and frankly internationally, that we have reputable people here that want to provide kind of information that I think victims need to hear, witnesses need to hear, the public needs to hear. Let me introduce to you now Olivia Rivers from the Texas Association Against Sexual Assault, and let her visit with you a few moments about these types of cases.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Q Olivia Rivers. I am just served my 6th year as the board chair for the Texas Association Against Sexual Assault. I'm also the CEO for the Bridge Over Troubled Waters, which is a local rape crisis center here in the Houston area. So thank you for being here as we address these heinous crimes. Sexual assault is not just a crime of violence against the body. It's an assault on the very essence of human dignity and safety. It shatters lives, it destroys confidence, and all too often, it leaves survivors feeling like they are voiceless, isolated, and vulnerable. The reality for many survivors is that coming forward to report their assault is one of the most difficult and daunting tasks that they will ever have to do. And for some, it may take days, months, or even years to speak up, if they ever do. The reasons for this have been mentioned, but include the fear of being disbelieved, being blamed or judged, and of course, retaliation. The trauma of the assault itself being compounded by the trauma of the criminal justice
Lost them in audio.
where survivors must relive their experience in order to seek justice.
Somebody messed up.
And these feelings and fears are further exacerbated when the allegations are against prominent figures in the entertainment industry.
Try to bump it up, but they mess up the audio.
Involving powerful figures often attract significant media attention, which can deter victims from coming forward due to fear of public exposure or scrutiny. The intense focus on these high-profile cases can make survivors feel that their personal lives are being put under a microscope, causing further emotional distress. These allegations mentioned here today, as reported, reflect deeply troubling claims that deserve thorough investigation, and no individual, regardless of their stature, is above the law or public accountability. Sadly, the statistics paint a very disturbing picture. According to the National Sexual Violence Resource Center, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 6 men.
That was crazy, the Emmett Till thing. Yeah.
In the U.S. alone,
Didn't she admit it on her deathbed or like years later?
1,000 victims of rape or sexual assault every year, and these numbers barely scratch the surface, as sexual violence remains one of the most underreported crimes. But the numbers that follow tell an even more troubling story. Only about 23% of sexual assaults are reported to law enforcement. Of those, just 5% lead to an arrest, and even fewer, less than 1% of reported cases ever result in a conviction, which is a devastating gap between the crime and the justice that survivors deserve. I want to briefly focus on our state here in Texas. According to the Texas Association Against Sexual Assault, 6.3 million Texans, men and women, will experience some form of violence. That's every 2 minutes someone is sexually assaulted. Meaning, during the course of this press conference, around 60 individuals will forever be changed by this violence. And those are just a few of the victims. Obviously, this is unacceptable. We cannot allow this cycle of silence and inaction to continue. We have to create an environment where survivors feel empowered to come forward, where they are met with empathy and respect and support, not skepticism and blame. We have to ensure that our legal system is equipped to handle these cases with the seriousness they deserve, and that survivors have access to the resources that they need beyond the legal courtroom. We have to address the root causes of this epidemic: prevention, awareness, and fostering environments where respect, consent, and safety are non-negotiable values. Additionally, support for survivors has to be holistic. They have to have access to counseling, medical services, legal advocacy, and of course community support, regardless of whether they choose to report or not. To every survivor who has come forward, your bravery is an inspiration. To those who are still grappling with their decision, know that you are not alone and that your voice matters. Your story matters. We see you, we believe you, and we are committed to fighting for a future where sexual violence is no longer tolerated and where justice is not the exception but the standard.
I want to visit with you real quickly before we close here about some specific instances without disclosing the victim's name. You probably know that depending on the age of the victim, you can file these cases, these individual cases, under Jane Doe or John Doe. Each state is different in that respect. Typically there is a balancing test, like the public's right to know the name of the victim and plaintiff versus the confidentiality and the safety of the plaintiff. So we'll have to struggle with that with each one of these cases. Our intention, of course, is to, like we always do, file these cases under a pseudonym until the court tells us otherwise. But let me share with you a few, just kind of give you a sense of the kind of cases and the kind of instances that people are calling and reporting that we are trying to corroborate, vet, and these are the ones that we've already corroborated, vetted, and collected evidence on. One individual who was 22 years at the time she was assaulted said that the typical MO at one of these parties that have been widely discussed in the press was that when you are handed a drink, and now we know that the drink is laced with something, if you refuse to drink it, you were kicked out of the party. Now, let that sink in for a minute.
Wow.
I mean, the admission to this party,
you got to drink it.
Was that you had to drink the chosen drink that was handed to you. And now we know that in most cases, I would say 90% of the cases, these individuals were drugged with some sort of drug. That was kind of the MO. Another instance, this individual who was 9 years old at the time was taken to an audition in New York City with Bad Boy Records. Other boys were there to audition as well. All of them were trying to land a record deal. All of them were minors. This individual was sexually abused, allegedly by Sean Combs. and several other people at the studio in the promise to both his parents and to him himself of getting a record deal. Another instance, another minor, told allegedly by Sean Combs that he would make him a star, but needed to visit with him in private about it, away from his parents. Once they were in a private area, allegedly Mr. Combs made the victim perform oral sex upon him. Another incident, an individual 15 years old at the time,
15.
flown to New York City to attend a party, was drugged, and then taken into a private room, allegedly in the presence of Mr. Combs, where this female individual, minor, was raped, and then other individuals took turns raping.
Wow. Wow.
Another individual, 26 at the time of the occurrence, was picked up by, allegedly, by Mr. Combs and several other people in a black SUV from the airport, was given one drink in the SUV, and then literally woke up the next day not knowing what had happened, but with pain and damage to both her vagina and her anus, where she then went to the hospital. She was missing her underwear and her shoes. Another instance, individual, this time not a minor, was attended a group dinner, allegedly with Sean Combs in Miami. She wasn't drinking because she was pregnant, but whatever she drank at the table, apparently, at least according to her, was laced with something. She blacked out, and she woke up in the same bed, again allegedly, with Mr. Combs in his mansion in Miami. Her vagina and her anus were torn and sore.
Pregnant woman.
And I could go on. I mean, literally, you're sensing a theme here. It's the same theme, and it all involves some sort of drug. One instance, an individual who was 20 years old at the time was asked to attend, just saw her on the street, asked to attend a party in a hotel. She was flattered, went to the party, was given one drink and doesn't remember anything else. Ultimately, was so messed up, went to the hospital where they found cocaine and this horse tranquilizer in her blood system. I'm going to give you a quote from a very young man who told us over the phone about his experience and all the things that happened to him. He says, allegedly at the hands of Sean Diddy Combs and his friends, in the effort to try to sign a record deal. This was kind of what he was told he would have to do. His quote is, "Had he not been in power, I feel like I could have been something great. I quit the industry because of what Sean Combs did to me." And that's really what it comes down to. We are pursuing this, asking you to support this effort, to encourage witnesses and victims to come forward and bring your evidence so we can continue to break down this wall of silence and we can continue to have these stories heard. This is the beginning of what I hope to be a national dialogue. This type of sexual assault, sexual abuse, and sexual exploitation should never happen in the United States or anywhere else. This should have never been allowed to go on for so long. This conduct has created a mass of individuals who are injured, scared, and scarred. If you are one of those individuals, we ask you to reach out. If not to us, to someone you trust. If you are someone who witnessed any of these events, we ask you to reach out. Your name can remain confidential. With that, I'll take a few questions, not many, maybe two, but if you have a question, I'll be pleased to try to answer it.
How many minors are making accusations in total, and are the feds aware of the allegations of minors in the case?
I don't know what the feds are aware of, okay, but I do know there's 25 out of this 120. I will say this to that point. We welcome the FBI or any authority who wants to come to us, and we're going to make that available to these victims because I think that's important. My suspicion is, based on talking with these folks, is that the FBI is just not aware of these people. The FBI has talked to some of these folks, and I'm going to try to encourage the victims to, in fact, talk to the FBI because I think they have some very important things to say.
So were all of the children auditioning because they were musicians, or were any of them kids of employees or anything like that?
All seeking either TV or some sort of music career with promises of, we're going to make you a star. Instead, basically did things to them such that they don't want to have anything to do with the entertainment industry ever. All right, guys. Thank you very much for your attention. We're going to go now. Thank you.
You anticipate any precedent cases?
Okay. Any filed here?
Hopefully, yeah.
There's a few plaintiffs here, but I don't anticipate filing them here. Probably in New York City.
Very wild. Minors. I forgot how many said. 20-something, 25 minors or something like that. Minors. Over 100 people. I think he said 120-some people. That the clients that they have. They said over 3,000 people have called them, alleging that they're victims. And they're not doing a class action lawsuit. They're filing individual claims. Wild. Oh, all right. This is what we're going to do next. Buller wants to call, but I want to do the sheriff stream first. I need about 5 minutes, but I'm going to start a sheriff stream. They showed the cop that shot the sheriff and killed him. They're saying that what happened was supposedly this guy, the sheriff, walked into the judge's whatever chambers, or at some point he looked at the judge's phone and he saw his daughter's contact in the judge's phone. Claims supposedly that the judge was messing around with the daughter, but I don't know if that's true. And they're saying that supposedly this guy did see his daughter's phone number in the judge's phone, and he called the daughter from both phones. Crazy. April B12, thank you for the 24 months. What a wild 2 years. Thank you for all your do mail. Thank you so much, April. Appreciate you. Shrinking Shannon, thank you so much for the membership. Buller, thank you for the 5 months. Shoot me a call. So I'm going to call you after. Maybe we could do a little, after the sheriff stream, maybe do a little hurricane stream. I don't know. Just take a call. You can just tell me your experience, I guess. And Chris, thank you so much for the 2 months. Thank you so much. So let me just set up the stream. This was a pretty wild press conference. Diddy is never getting out, in my opinion. I don't know if he'll get the appeal. I don't think they're going to let him go. There's no way. I don't think even for the appeal, for the bail, he's not getting out. There's no way in hell he's getting out. Maybe I'll do 3 o'clock. Just take a few minutes. Those captions. This is about the video we're going to watch next is about an hour. I shot the sheriff. They were literally listening to that song in the car. The sheriff that shot the judge has a video of him and his daughter in the cop car singing I shot the sheriff. But I do shoot the deputy. All right. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. At 3 p.m. in 15 minutes, 3 p.m. Eastern, I'll start the next stream. All right. And of course, thank you, Mustard Mama, so much for the 20 memberships. Bloop, bloop, bloop. All right.